Well, hello, I'm Lisa Von Drasek from the Children's Literature Research Collections of the University of Minnesota. I am the curator, and we are social distancing in our homes, and we have a very special Read This Book today. My special guest is the Dean of the Libraries.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa German. I'm the University Librarian and Dean of Libraries at the University of Minnesota. And Lisa, I am so glad to join you. And this is the book that I chose. It's called The Color Kittens. And you can see that it's written by Margaret Wise Brown and illustrated by Alice and Martin Provensen.
Wow, that's a classic book. That's a little golden book from quite some time ago. Of all the books that you could choose for Read This Book, why this one?
So when I was little, my father used to read to me every night when he got home from work. And so part of my bedtime routine and part of my children's then bedtime routines was reading stories. And The Color Kittens were The Color Kitten was one of my favorite stories, along with another book that I know is dear to our hearts, The Pokey Little Puppy. So I thought I would choose The Color Kittens today.
You grew up with little golden books. Where did you grow up?
So I was born in Peoria, Illinois, and I spent most of my first 9 years there. And then we moved to Arlington Heights, which is a suburb of Chicago, which you may hear a Chicago twang in my voice, in the timbre. I spent many years there. And then lived in Champaign, Illinois. So we really are Midwestern through and through.
Would you mind reading just a little bit aloud to us, maybe through The Color Purple?
Oh, sure. I'd be happy to. Once there were two color kittens with green eyes, Brush and Hush. They liked to mix and make colors by splashing one color into another. They had buckets and buckets and buckets and buckets of color to splash around with. Out of these colors, they would make all the colors in the world. The buckets had the colors written on them, but of course, the kittens couldn't read. They had to tell by the colors. It's very easy, said Brush. Red is red, blue is blue, said Hush. But they had no green. No green paint, said Brush and Hush. And they wanted green paint, of course, because nearly every place they liked to go was green. Green as a cat's eyes, green as grass, by streams of water, green as glass. So they tried to make some green paint. Brush mixed red paint and white paint together. And what did that make? Didn't make green. Pink as pigs, pink as toes, pink as a rose or a baby's nose.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you now. Listen to the cadence of Margaret Wise Brown's language. So she went to a graduate school of education. She went to the Bank Street College of Education, where they encouraged the teachers to create books for their own classroom use, because these here and now books weren't available, the books about the everyday, concept books. And we're in the midst of this pandemic where parents are home with kids. And this is the perfect opportunity to look around a bedroom, look around a kitchen, and create your own books and create your own rhymes to spark language and literacy and to hear. So I thank you for choosing this book, because it's bringing to mind all sorts of aspects that one tiny 16-page picture book brings to us. Are there any other things you think about when you look at just this one book, what it would bring to a home with children in it?
Well, one of the things that I notice is there's a lot of trial and error here. So sometimes you try something and you don't get it right the first time. But just like the Color Kittens, maybe you try again and you try again, and maybe you'll be successful.
And like many experiments, the success comes perhaps from an accident. I
Absolutely.
don't want to ruin anything about the book in case
Okay.
are people visiting with us today that haven't read it before. So I think that's all we have time for this Read This Book. Is there anything you'd like to add to the children and the grown-ups who are watching Read This Book today?
Well, one of the things I've learned, especially I think from you, Lisa, and from listening to your programs, is that children's books are just as much for adults as they are for kids. So thank you for sharing that with me. I had not really thought about that before, but then when I was like, of course. So thank you.
Well, I hope everyone is safe and healthy, and don't touch your face.
And wash your hands.
And wash your hands. Thank you, Lisa. And that's all for today's Read This Book.